It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is Wednesday, March the 5th, KQRS 92.5. We're in Minnesota. We're happy to be here.
We're in the snow.
I'm so excited.
Oh, you are?
I'm still in my snow honeymoon phase, man. This is only my third winter here. And honestly, my first one gave me all the snow I ever needed. But the last two have been pretty bare bones. I was thrilled to wake up this morning, look out the window. I was like a kid at Christmas.
It was really pretty. I walked out of my house, and then I was cleaning off the car, and I was not delighted.
Not delighted.
I do want to give a real quick shout-out to the freaking city snowplow driver who saw that I had just cleared off my car, which I spent maybe 7 or 8 minutes doing.
All right.
And then decided to, just scooch around me and not plow me in. I could kiss that dude.
Oh, that's
I could do a whole lot more than kiss that dude, man. I was real excited about him.
Hey, snowplow guy. Next time you do someone a solid, slow down. See what's on the table for you. You might get a little.
Oh man.
Early morning.
My faith in humanity restored.
Man, sunrise came early at the Ryder household.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right to your top 5 at 6 then. Number 5, speaking of the slow, a Minnesotan named Aaron Ailey has won the John Bear Grease Sled Dog Marathon. This is the second time. This is a shortened course, only 267 miles yesterday with her on her dog sled. The lack of snow between Duluth and Two Harbors got in the way. Only, again, 267 miles. Her husband won the last one in 2023. Last year didn't even have the race because of the low snow.
Right.
So he's won it twice. This is now her second win.
Good for her.
Something tells me the Ailey family is pretty intense, just
Building
personality-wise.
a dynasty. Yeah.
The family that John Bear greases together has some intense chafing when it's all said and done. I think that's the old slogan that we all grew up with. Man, if you're curious about how to deal with winter chafing, talk to those two. They're way ahead of you. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. Check this out. There is an award given in the state of Connecticut. The governor, Ned Lamont, will bestow what they call the Award of Excellence to a resident who is, quote, shown a deep commitment to supporting the local community. This gentleman is the epitome of the values of creativity, resourcefulness, and passion. Not only is one of the most influential musicians of all time, but as a dedicated supporter of the arts, education, and community causes right here in Connecticut.
Okay. I know a lot of famous-ass people live in Connecticut.
Keith Richards.
No.
Keith.
He lives in Connecticut?
Oh, yeah. He's been there forever. Keith Richards is being awarded today by the governor the Connecticut Award of Excellence. Award of Excellence. He's been there since 1985. He married Patty Hansen, the actor, the model. Okay. And then they raised their kids. They have daughters. And they're just Greenwich, Connecticut people.
Really?
Which is, Greenwich is like... It's in Connecticut, but that's like the Bel Air or Beverly Hills of New York City.
Okay.
Like if you ever hear anyone's from Greenwich, just add 2 zeros to whatever you think they're worth. Okay, that's what that place is. That's where Keith has been for 40 years and now being recognized.
I'm sure he has tons of awards. Does he even go to pick this one up?
He'll go get this one.
You think so?
The governor's showing up. But check this out. Here's a great quote. I love this. They're going to give it to this. He's getting this award at the Westport, Connecticut Library. And here's Keith's quote. When you're growing up, there are 2 institutional places that affect you most powerfully. The church, which belongs to God, and the public library, which belongs to you. The public library is the great equalizer.
Oh, I do like that.
Spoken like a true post-war Brit. That is outstanding. Yeah. Right on, Keith. Of course, when he said that, what he said was,
I'm glad that you were there to translate that for us.
Open G. Yeah.
Open G.
Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. Spring cleaning. I know in the midst of a downpour of snow, you're not thinking about spring cleaning, but spring cleaning is right around the corner. In a recent poll, people talk about the fact that 34%, a third of the things we own, we rarely, if ever, use, and it just takes up space. Could you get rid of a third of the things in your life and not really notice? That's the question.
I think I could get rid of 2/3.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And my wife and I have proven that to ourselves over the last couple of years. Coming up to Minnesota and then for a while hanging on to a home in Nashville, that's no longer the case. Not one, two dumpsters.
Going from a house to an apartment, man.
Well, there was a while back. It was, well, one of these days we'll probably unload the house. Let's just start the process so we're not feeling slammed.
Yeah.
And then there was the attic, 21 years and of just attic and basement. Let's put that down there. Put that up there. Put that down there. Put that up there.
No.
I kid you not, it was a dumpster. And then the whole house, when that happened, a dumpster. And it's
I believe it.
I couldn't. I was astonished. And this is on top of run after run to Goodwill clothes.
Yeah.
Like the stuff in my closet, I'm like, I was pulling out shirts. Not only had I not worn in the last year, I don't think I've ever seen. You know what I mean? You just find a shirt and buy it and put it in the closet and then forget about it because I wear the same 7 things.
You do.
I've gotten to a point where I'm like, man, if the last thing I have to think about is my clothing, then that's more brain time to just be something else.
Yes.
Yeah, a third of stuff. I think you're right. I bet most people could get rid of 2/3 to your point, and they would not even. Your life does
for like a week.
Continues on
notice,
unabated.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kid, man, going through the kids' rooms a couple years ago, and like, hey, do you want this or not? And I was very pleased because they were both like, what is that? Like they don't even. I thought there was going to be all this sentimentality and attack. I need that. No, I might. And they were like, no. So
that's
at least
awesome.
It was awesome. At least we did our job with that.
Yeah.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 6, Jared Allen going to the Hall of Fame and at the TCO Performance Center. Gave a few had a great moment at the microphone talking about the fact that he's going in. This is a 12-year NFL career, half of it right here, of course. Jared Allen, an absolute baller. To me, a no-brainer that he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Had plenty of things to say about all manner of NFL storylines. Here's just a little bit of the great Jared Allen.
I'd rather be close than freaking... Who sucks? The Jets? Oh, gosh. Being the Jets would be miserable right now. I just can't believe anybody took that job. Rough one. So you get to say this stuff when you're retired. You can say whatever you want. That's awesome.
That's the best. You can say whatever you want when you're retired.
So yesterday we were talking about Jimmy Johnson retiring and being like, why? Why would he do this?
Yeah.
And then Jared Allen comes in today with the answers. You can just say whatever you want.
You can say what you want. No, you're not going to get a note from a network executive or from a general manager.
Yes.
Just let her rip. I think that's fantastic that he's going in. When he went into the Ring of Honor, which was just a couple months before I moved up here, riding onto the field on a horse at halftime. I mean, that's and trust me when I say he's one of those guys every football fan knows. It's not just a Minnesota thing.
Okay.
And him on that horse. My son, who's that guy? I'm like, oh, dude, let me tell you about him. I mean, everybody, he's one of those players that other fans always said, why don't we have a guy like that? He's just one of those. Yeah. So that's awesome that he's going in. Hey, good morning to Brooklyn Park. If you're just waking up in Brooklyn Park, believe me when I say just go back to bed.
Oh, yeah. If you're one of those work-from-home people, cash that in today, because I was really wishing we were.
This is your day. I am still the kind of douchebag who I have a little fun fishtailing around under control in the streets. I hit university. There's no one else on there. I got 4 lanes to mess around with. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, wow. I love it. I'm just a kid at Christmas when it snows like this.
Yeah, it was like, 4:04 as I'm rolling through red stoplights. I'm like, if I stop, I'm not going to get started again.
Oh,
so
no.
Look out.
There's no, I don't even consider stop signs, stoplights. That's what headlights are for. If I don't see them, I'm just going on. And if you got your headlights off and hit me, it's your fault. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, looking back with Jared Allen, let's look forward. No franchise tag for Sam Darnold.
Is this purely a money decision?
Gotta be. Play it again, Sam, or not. Don't think so. They could still sign him, but okay, here's the deal. If they tagged him with the franchise tag, that just locks him down for 1 season. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of people are saying, hey, it's worth the $40 million you'd pay just to ensure that J.J. McCarthy is who we think he can be. Yeah. He doesn't necessarily have to start week 1, but you make the transition somewhere along the way. That costs you $40 million. But right now, because they didn't choose that, if Sam Darnold's coming back, it's a new contract. Mm-hmm. That's at least 2 years. Very, very few 27-year-old quarterbacks sign 2-year deals. It would probably be he'd be looking for 3, 4, or 5. And the Vikings are basically saying, Sam, we're glad we rehabbed you. And if not for those last 2 games, you'd probably still be our guy next year. But we saw what we saw. And hey, Las Vegas. Hey, Tennessee. You guys need a quarterback, right? He's going to play. He'll get it figured out. For my money, I would say you got Daniel Jones, who showed moments of being who with the right system could be your next Sam Darnold. O'Connell can turn, if he truly is the QB whisperer, you could get Daniel Jones to a place where he is acceptable until J.J. McCarthy's ready. Probably where they're going to go with this one, I would say. If I were a betting man, and God knows I am, that's what I would suggest is probably going to be the case. All right, there is your top 5 at 6. Midweek mixtape as it is Wednesday. How about this? If you could have picked your high school fight song, what would it have been? Screw the marching band stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any of that, all that nonsense. Yeah, stop.
That is my actual high school fight song, yes.
And I'm sorry, remind me of the school?
Well, now it's Lakeville High North. But yeah, we were the Lakeville Panthers.
The Lakeville Panthers coming out strong to this one. What's it called? Kitty Cat Grumble or something?
Yes, I don't know.
I
just had to play it over and over again. But no, boys state high school hockey tourney today. So when those goals get scored, what song would you want to hear?
Oh, yeah. What's the fight song your high school should have had back in the day? I mean, I went to a school so small, we didn't have a fight song. We didn't even have a football team. We played,
really?
We played soccer in the fall.
Not even 9-man football or something crazy?
No. We played. My senior class had 12 people, and 2 of them were foreign exchange students. There was no 9-man, 7-man, 3-man football possible. I was the biggest kid in my class. That was not a good thing.
You are a big dude, though.
But I'm not football big.
No.
Come on. No, so we didn't have, not only that, we played fall soccer, and we had a homecoming game, and we would borrow a marching band from another high school a county over to come and play. Yeah, this is all true.
That's adorable.
And people wonder why I walk around with so much baggage from my teen years. Still trying to make sense of it all. Midweek mixtape. Hit us on the KQ talking text line 651-989-ROCK. If you could have picked your high school fight song, what would it have been? We kind of had an unofficial one, which I'll tell you about that in a little bit, because right now it's important that we get into this little history lesson.
Sports history with the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
March 5th, 1973, the greatest trade in Major League Baseball history happened. It was between the New York Yankees and the New York Yankees, or more specifically, 2 Yankee pitchers, Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson, got to spring training. These guys were best friends. Okay. Their wives were very close. They were inseparable families, couples, the whole thing. They got to spring training in 1973 and publicly announced that they had swapped families.
No.
Not just a wife swap, a family swap. Yes, they switched homes. What? Mike and Fritz switched places. They lived with each other's wife, kids, and pets.
Why?
They just realized we're better suited.
We're in the wrong family?
Yes.
Okay.
2 couples, both with kids, both with pets. And after a lot of hanging, this was the 70s, suddenly it was like, these guys are in the wrong home.
I'm sure there's a switch hitter joke in there somewhere.
You damn straight it is. At the time, so Fritz Peterson said, some people think this is just some old wife swap. No, it's a life swap.
All right.
We've known each other for 3 or 4 years. In the beginning, it was just fun, the 4 of us. As things became more serious, we found out we were much happier with each other's other. We found something each other had been lacking. Fritz Peterson got the better end of the deal. They stayed together forever, whereas Kekich and Marilyn Peterson, they split shortly after they recoupled.
Who would have seen that coming?
It's amazing. If you had told me one of these 2 couples is going to make it, I would have laughed. But boy, the 70s were lit, weren't they?
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Look, man, I still feel like I'm 25 years old.
I don't doubt it. I've watched you play drums.
I don't feel like I'm 21. I was just too stupid. 25, I started to figure it out, so I'm going to go right back to 25.
Okay.
And I think about things that change over time, and what are the signs, the telltale signs you're just turning into an old fart. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not going that way, man.
Okay, good.
I mean, I get up early, but that's because I have to. I'm not happy. I don't jump out of bed at 4 a.m. like, oh, this is going to be an amazing day. This is going to be great. No, screw that. I'd much rather be up till 2 a.m. every day.
Really? No, for me. Like, I enjoy, even when I didn't have to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, very much enjoy being in bed by 8:30. Sometimes in the dead of winter, I'm really excited to get in bed at like 6 o'clock. It drives my husband nuts.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never been that guy in my life. That is I mean, I started waking up earlier as like especially like 2020, 21 time sort of lost sense. The world was really weird, and I was finding myself popping awake at 5:30 or 6:30. But then I would go back to sleep. It's like I had to be awake for sunrise, and then I could go back to sleep. I'd pop up and it would still be dark, and I just realized after a few weeks of this, like, oh, well, I'm just up. So I'd get up, I'd read or do whatever, put on a show, and then once the sun was coming up, I could then relax and go back to sleep. It's like I had to make sure. It's like I had to make sure the day was actually still coming, because a lot of things we took for granted went away, and all of a sudden I was like just double checking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's all. In fact, and it was in the middle of that era when I was still trying to make sense of it when I got a call. Hey, do you want to do morning radio? And I was like, well, hell, I'm already up at 5 anyway. What I didn't realize was that I wouldn't go back to sleep at 8. So I'm still, it's like one of those, oh, come on, man. The only thing I do that old people do is I do use closed captioning on everything I watch. However, but that's because I beat drums for a living and sat on a stage with giant Marshall stacks, and I blew out my hearing before I was 30. Yeah. That's not because I'm old. That's because I'm deaf. There's a damn difference.
I do it because I'm old. What if you're eating something with chips?
You're not old.
It was just the 21st anniversary of my 21st birthday on Saturday. So I've decided 2025 is the year that I embrace being old. And I haven't said this before because I was afraid somebody was going to hold me to it. But my two 2025 resolutions are...
Oh, my God, I'm afraid.
Get to the driving range 10 times.
Oh, I like that. That works.
And learn how to play cribbage.
I don't even
know. Do you even know what cribbage is?
It's one of those words I see, and I'm like, oh, sure. I don't know. I think it's like a combination of bridge and parcheesi or some crap like that? I smell cabbage when I hear cribbage.
It's you smell cabbage. It's something that everybody does at the dive bar if you can get there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the wooden boards with the tiny little pegs, and then they've got a bunch of cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to become a master cribbage player this year is my goal.
Wow, cribbage. Okay, I can see it. I can see it. There is one other thing I
got to go there and do something besides the game of drink.
But see, you're at a day. But at the dive bar. See, I don't think going to the dive bar at 3 in the afternoon or 2:30 means you're getting old. I think it means you're just being efficient. You know what I mean? The only thing I have changed, the one thing I will give to age is I do eat earlier. I did have that thing, and by the way, this isn't because I'm getting older. This is a Gorman thing. Okay. Heartburn, GERD, all that stuff, digestive, whatever. I have 5 older brothers who, for my entire life, I have 2 older sisters, but I don't look at them as blueprints because they have very different physiologies, I've learned. Mm-hmm. My brothers, every one of us, at the same age, the eyesight starts to go, the hair starts to gray. Like, I can look ahead and know exactly what's coming because we've all receded and I have held out way longer than the rest, though. Stuff that they're all going through, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm still rocking and rolling. This is great. The only thing is the digestion, the heartburn. I have to eat earlier. I will make. I did have to make an allowance, and this is probably 5 or 6 years ago. Like, man, I spent decades eating at midnight.
What do you consider eating early?
Like, I got to be done eating by 7.
Really?
What is that? What?
Well, there are occasions, and part of it's the gig, but there are occasions when I have absolutely positively had dinner at 4:30, maybe 4:45.
Oh my God, that's not dinner. That's a snack.
No, I cook a full-on meal and eat it while watching Jeopardy.
All right, so as long as I'm younger than Ryder, I'm still in good shape. I mean, our birth certificates might argue, but clearly you're the old lady around here now.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm embracing that crap.
Very well done. Well, as long as you're talking about Ryder, let's talk about Ryder.
Yes.
Riders, tour riders. What do bands actually need to get through the day? You may be surprised. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
That was the Black Crowes, a band I have with a passing familiarity with.
Yeah, I want to say good morning to Lore the Cheesehead, said that is her favorite Black Crowes song. When I hear that, when I flash back to sitting on the front porch taping songs off the radio, what pops into your head when you hear that?
Well, I tell you, it's funny. A song like that, when we made our first record, I went into those sessions, a complete dreamer, head in the clouds, and I was expecting there to be just magic, right? You get in the studio, and then it would be like we're making Sgt. Pepper or XL on Main Street or, Wish You Were Here. I thought like there would be these moments when we'd all look at each other and the bond would be consecrated and we would know. And that really wasn't how it went. And that song in particular, that was the last song we recorded for the album.
Oh, I thought you were tired.
And it was the oldest song we had laying around. We weren't going to use it. It was like a year old, which back then was like 10 years old to us. And so I had gone back to work. Like we had a couple weeks to make a record. And then I'm back at the record store where I worked, a used record store. Mm-hmm. And I thought the drum tracks were done. There were still some overdubs. Every day you go and play guitars, add keyboards, all that stuff. And so I'd get off work and run to the studio to hear what was happening without me. But it wasn't like I could take an extra week off work to not even be drumming.
Right,
That's, but not in my personal budget at the time. I'm at the store and our producer, George DeCoulius, calls the store.
Sure.
Hey, can I speak to Steve? I'm like, hey, what's up? He goes, hey, can you come over? We're going to do the Angels song. And I went, we're doing that one? He goes, yeah. And I go, let me see. He goes, he goes, Rich already put an acoustic guitar track down to a click track. A click track's a metronome. Like in your headphones, it just keeps time. And so he goes, he put an acoustic. We got a good acoustic sound. So I went ahead and had him play a take. Now, just come in and play drums to that, and then we'll see if we can build the song and make any sense of it.
Okay.
And I said to my boss, hey, can I run to the studio for like a couple hours? And it was like 4 p.m. He goes, be back here before we close at 7:30.
Sure.
And I said, okay. And I raced across town in my old beat-up Dodge Dart Swinger, walked into the studio, sat at the drum kit. I played 2 takes along to this recorded acoustic guitar. And the second one is the one you just heard, just second pass.
Neat.
And then I was like, is that it? He goes, yeah, I don't think this is going to work, but thanks for trying. I said, sure. I went back to the record store, closed up, didn't think about it, right? and then a couple days later, we're kind of like, maybe that one might work. I mean, maybe there's something there. And fast forward like a month later, I'm listening to the finished version, mixed and mastered, and just going, holy crap.
Yeah?
And so what I learned was, well, the magic's in post-production sometimes, or at least not so much in the drum track. But it was built after the fact. The rest of the tracks are like, the whole rest of that record is like the band in a room rocking together.
Okay.
That one was anything but the finished result sort of spoke for itself. Great song. I just didn't think that we were going to make it make sense.
Sure. Is it easier or harder to make a song with everybody in the room all together, or to kind of put it together piece by piece?
Well, in those days, probably easier to do the latter. Once you figure out how to play, and once a band, like we went out and toured for 2 years and we became a great band.
Yeah.
And then the second album was the exact opposite. The whole second album was recorded. I started Friday night. I was done Monday.
Okay.
Like just over a weekend, just track after track, 1, 2 takes, done. Great, let's go. Because when you're a great band, it's a lot easier. When you're a bunch of kids with good songs but no idea how to really play them all together, it's a very different process.
Okay.
And then you get on the road, and then at some point you start like headlining.
A big rock star, right?
And then a promoter says, "So what do you guys want in the dressing room?" And you're like, "Ooh, what do we want in the dress? We could just get stuff. You'll just bring us stuff, and you get that first tour rider. And when it starts off, it's a 6-pack of beer and towels. That's all, because you're gonna be sweaty afterwards. Give me some beer and towels and a bag of chips. And then second or third tour, it's like, I think we need a case of beer. I think we need to make sure the towels have already been washed, because they just go by them fresh, and then you wipe your face and you got the little fuzzies all over.
Yeah.
And then by like your third or fourth tier, you're like, how about like a loaf of bread and some lunch meat? Like, it'd be good to have food. And then it just grows and grows and grows. And then before you know it, you're sitting in a room that's just loaded. You could feed, a small town with the crap in your dressing room every day.
I think part of it, like, people hear about this and think, God, rock stars have such a big head. But your day's really full, right? Like when you're touring at that, because you got to talk to your radio people and do this sound check and blah, blah, blah. You don't have time to go be running errands. So.
No, you're not really running a lot of errands.
Yeah.
And then if you're you're stupid like we were, you make sure that after every show, you invite as many people backstage as you can. And then every single gig night is like, this is great. Us and 50 people are hanging out drinking all that booze. And then one day you wake up and go, I think I'm just going to go to bed. I'm tired. And then hopefully it's, you're not 50 before you get the wake-up call.
So what was the one smartass thing you put on the tour rider? Because I know everybody's got their beer and their food and stuff.
We had, so our manager, Pete Angelus, came to the Black Crowes from the Van Halen world. He was with them from day one. Mm-hmm. And Pete, very famously, everyone knows the Van Halen M&M story.
Yes.
It was they wanted M&Ms in the dressing room, and they had to have the brown M&Ms removed. It was brown, because there's more brown than anything else.
Okay.
And so in the midst of all their production, this is what we need. You have a long list of, there's stuff for the
lighting
stage.
And sound.
Everything. You have all of this stuff, and then you have the dressing room requirements. Pete had the idea to put in there, we want a 1 pound bag of M&Ms, or a bowl of M&Ms, no brown M&Ms.
Okay.
That was it. And it also said, if we find one brown M&M, the band can destroy the dressing room and trash it, and it's on the promoter to pay for the repairs.
I like that clause.
There was the back end of it, which is, we can destroy this place, and you won't charge us for it. The reason that was in there, it makes a funny story, what's wrong with brown M&Ms, but the whole point was, if we get there and don't see any brown M&Ms, then we know someone paid attention and read everything on the rider.
I had heard that rumor and wonder if they were actually that smart.
That's exactly what it was. Well, Pete was that smart. Okay. Now, Diamond Dave loves to take credit for it, but that was Pete's thing. And so they knew, well, if we go in there and there's brown M&Ms, what else didn't they do? It was that. So with us, on our second album, 1992, a tour that opened at the Orpheum here in Minneapolis a few nights.
Oh, no crap.
We had on our rider an ounce of marijuana.
Okay.
A full ounce of weed.
Yeah.
And this is in 1992 when it wasn't that easy to get. It certainly wasn't legal to get. And so we didn't put that in there to make sure they were paying attention. We put that in there because we just wanted to get stoned. And it was also, let's see if anybody actually does this. And it would be funny to watch the promoter rep, like the runner, come in and be like, hey, guys, listen, guys, the ounce of weed, I just can't, I couldn't. And you'd be like, that's cool. But then every now and again, there'd be someone who goes, hey, man, here you go. Gotcha. And you'd be like, that person's on their way in the music business.
Yes. Did you always get good stuff, or sometimes did you end up with ditch weed?
No, both. You'd get stuff, you'd be like, oh, my God, is this from Humboldt County? And then the next day, it'd just be like dirt, skunk, nasty-ass Nebraska pot. You're like, hey, whatever. At least they tried. That's the key. That's really the key. So that's as far out there as we ever actually got. But that's because we were not the craziest people alive. There are some things on tour riders that truly have to be seen to be believed. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
The 2025 Tee It Up Golf Cart number 3, presented by Club Champion, is on sale right now. Golf 7 area courses, save over $200. More information and to purchase, text the word golf to 651-989-ROCK. Bands or artists hit the road. They start in clubs, you start in a van or someone's car, and before you know it, you got buses and planes, and you're a giant star, and you walk into a dressing room, and it's just full of crap.
Well, some bands.
Yeah, some bands. I'm saying if you make it, when the Beatles toured America in the mid-'60s, they were the biggest band of all time at that moment. They're still the biggest band of all time. This is what they had: 4 cots, a mirror, an ice cooler, portable TV set, and clean towels.
Wow.
That's what they were looking for.
Yeah.
The key word there, cots. Not comfortable sofa, not a barca, just 4 cots.
So Liverpool.
Those guys were working. They were getting put through the ringer on tour, man. Paul McCartney these days, a buddy of mine promoted a show for him in Memphis 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And I went to the gig, and she said, oh, come on down, we'll hook you up. Yeah. And then we were talking about what it is to do a gig with Paul McCartney. And she said, the rider is unbelievable, the amount of weird stuff. And I said, she goes, well, there's a flooring that you can buy, like a Pergo it's not fake wood. It was one of those type of flooring things.
Sure.
And she said, and it had to be in the building, anywhere he would walk from his vehicle to the dressing room and then to the stage, this flooring had to be placed down.
Part of me thinks that's not Paul McCartney. That's somebody around him.
Well, and there was also candles. A specific type of candle would be lit an hour before he arrived, anywhere he went.
All right.
And and then to your point, that's exactly what it was. It dates back. There were so many things going on around him that he had no idea about. He simply one day was like, I love this floor. It feels good on my feet. And the tour manager's like, get that floor anywhere he goes. And then he was like, well, this candle smells nice, doesn't it? And then it doesn't even occur to him like, oh, everywhere I go, those candles are
just appear.
Just people do stuff. He said he likes it. Get those damn candles. And it just turns into his everywhere he goes. And that guy couldn't give a rat's ass. He not even aware of it. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that happens. So from 4 cots to a specific type of flooring in one career. I think Motorhead, to me, probably my favorite ever. The rider Motorhead had for years. Last thing first, this is what it says at the bottom of the rider. All dressing room catering, especially alcohol requirements, must be provided as listed above. This is, all caps, extremely important to avoid problems on day of show. We don't have time to read all of it. I'll just hit the highlights.
All right.
2 extra large bottles Jack Daniels, 2 extra large bottles Jim Beam, 1 extra large bottle quality vodka.
Oh, wow.
120 cans or bottles non-light beer. In Europe, San Miguel, Amstel, or Kronenberg. In USA, Miller Genuine Draft. In Canada, Molson, Labatt's. 24 cans, strong apple cider.
What? Really?
Okay,
Lemmy.
And it says, this is an English alcoholic apple drink of beer strength, and it is available in most U.S. states.
It is now, thanks to Motorhead.
And then on top of it, if you think it's just about the booze, no, they needed 24 large bottles of spring water. They needed 72 Coke Classic cans, 6 bottles of lime Gatorade. It just goes on and on and on and on. And by the time you get to the bottom of it, 2 packs Marlboro Red, 2 packs Benson and Hedges. I mean, it just goes, just the amount of just liquids flowing around Motorhead at all times.
I mean, true rock stars.
And then, of course, 6 cans of Red Bull energy drink, because you're going to need something to get you up to that stage after you've spent all that time backstage drinking your weight in hooch. Man, we had a lot.
Oh.
There was a time, I think the most the Black Crowes ever had, we would have, there was a case of Red Stripe and a case of like maybe Heineken or Stella, and then a case of like an IPA.
Okay.
And then there would be like 2 bottles of wine. And but again, I said we would, there was always people. That wasn't like just for the band. I mean, we had plenty, but there were always people around. And then the 4th record came out, and the 4th album like was dead on arrival, commercially speaking.
Okay.
And the tour reflected that, because we go on the road, and then like every night in the dressing room after every show for years, there's 50 people, and then we're out on the 4th album, and it's like, it's just us. Like,
really?
Hey, we have friends in this town, don't we? And it's like, oh, they all went to go see that new Tarantino film. Instead, it's going to be showing tomorrow night, right? But they, it was just one of those things you realize, like, oh, we don't have nearly as many people. And we're like, why do we have all this stuff here? How many rotisserie chickens does one band need? And the answer turned out to be 0 at the end of the day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we were fine without it. It took a while. This is what happens, but I think Motorhead, that's got to be the best for a 4-man band to have that kind of hooch going.
Every single night, man. Every night
single
on tour.
Yeah. It was funny. You would at the end of the tour, if a tour ended, domestic leg, you go out for like 6 weeks. We would at a time, 6 maybe as much as 8 weeks. And the last few days of the tour, you'd see like the crew bus and the band bus. It's just like there's all the extra stuff, but the crew bus, the bays where you put your luggage, it would just be cases of beer.
Oh,
and then they're all like buying extra suitcases to bring beer home with them. You can't leave it on the bus. No. You got to bring it home.
Yeah.
So I mean, nothing went to waste. Is my point.
Well, that's so good to hear.
Yeah, it all got somebody imbibed. It all went down the hooch. Somebody eventually got around to it. It may not have been us. But these are the things you do. You get in there one day and you're like, yeah, I don't need peanut butter and jelly and Wonder Bread every day anymore. We're not using it.
Yeah.
It's wasteful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what are you going to do? That's what they have the local food banks for. At least that's what they tell me. Hey, the state hockey tournament's coming up. Are you excited, Ryder?
Oh, damn, yeah.
You're a Minnesota girl. Yes. This must be a lifelong thing.
Not really. I've actually never been, but I do watch it on. It's like Channel 45 or something like that. Yeah,
and I'll just put it on, leave it on
all weekend. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Jessi Peirce of the Bardown Beauties podcast will be talking boys state hockey tournament with us. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
You know what else works for me now? Year 3, the boys' state hockey championships. I never thought I'd care about high school hockey.
Riveting.
Beyond riveting. I mocked everyone here in 2023 who said, you're going to love it. I was like, yeah, right. And now I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait. Jessi Peirce is on the horn with us right now to discuss this very thing. Jessi, good morning. Are you with us?
Good morning. Yes, it's tourney time. Let's go. I'm so glad that you're finally one of us, Steve, and can embrace the tourney.
Well, you know, I did. I'm a Hibbing Chisholm guy. You know, I'll just come right out of the gate with that right now. Of course, I had to look on the map to find where Hibbing actually was. But no, I'm not kidding. I tell this story. 2 years ago in 23, I'd been in town a month and a half. Or 2 months, and I put on the TV, and I was like, oh, there's the hockey everyone's talking about. And I don't even remember the two teams, but it took me about 4 minutes to become beyond invigorated. I was engrossed, and I spent an entire weekend just watching high school hockey. What, Jessi, explain, what is it about this particular tournament and the fact, I mean, I've watched high school sports my whole life. I'd never been sucked into anything so quickly.
It is. I mean, it's been featured on ESPN. There's people, you have to be a part of the tourney. You have to come to the tourney, come to St. Paul, see all of these communities, all of these cities, the student sections, the hair. I'm sure we'll get into all of that too.
Yep.
But it's just a really special couple days in St. Paul. I mean, to sell out an NHL venue for a high school tournament is absolutely absurd. It is just beyond. It's similar to football in Texas at the high school level or basketball in Indiana. But it's even different because here in Minnesota, hockey is so special, not just because we are the state of hockey, but because for Minnesota hockey, you start playing for your association and you play all the way up through high school. That is not the case in other states. You see a lot of kids going off and playing AAA and traveling, whereas here you put on that Hibbing Chisholm jersey when you're 5, 6 years old, and you wear that wanting to wear it at the high school level. You put on that Stillwater jersey, same thing. It's just a very unique community-based model that really works for Minnesota. It's successful all the way up through the ranks, but I think that's what makes it so special. Is everybody's watching you from youth through high school. You want to play in the tourney. That's the goal. It makes it a lot of fun.
It really does. That makes perfect sense. Where are you from? Did you play as a kid growing up yourself?
I didn't. I'm from Matamidi.
Okay.
Go Zephyrs. They are playing this morning at 11 a.m. in the semifinals, ironically. But my mom is from International Falls, which has a long-standing history back in the day of high school hockey. My dad went to Hill Murray, which I know has a lot of opinions for a lot of people, but they both loved hockey. I was a basketball girly, but I followed hockey, really got into it my senior year, and wound up turning it into a career, believe it or not. But it is. It's just a really, really special sport. And again, something once you see it in person, you get hooked.
Now, you've been writing about hockey, podcasting about hockey for years, the Bardown Beauties podcast. But so do you wait for this week to really see all these teams in person with your schedule, or do you get a chance to see some of these teams during the regular season?
I get to peek in and out because, again, it's kind of fun. High school hockey has their own narrative, their own dramatics, right? And a lot of these kids are kids that you are going to see at the NHL level, right? Brock Faber was a player for Maple Grove who's now playing for the Minnesota Wild. Brock Besser played for Burnsville, who's now with the Vancouver Canucks. A lot of these guys still very fondly remember their time at the tourney. So when this comes, it's the heightened. But throughout the regular season, it's a lot of fun to watch these players, too. You have teams that are made the tournament that didn't have a very good start to the year who are now getting hot at the right time. And it's a lot of fun. High school hockey in general in the state is a lot of fun year-round. But, of course, it culminates during this week in March, and appropriately so, right when the snowfall comes back in.
Perfect.
For everybody as well, right?
Absolutely perfect. I moved up here from Nashville, and in Nashville, Tennessee, high school hockey is a thing and has been for a while. Once the Predators came there in the late 90s, they did a great job of really growing the sport in that region, and a lot of people are surprised to hear that. And the high school hockey in Tennessee is really good, or so I thought, until I came here. And then I felt like I was watching like at least collegiate hockey, if not NHL, the first time I tuned it in because I had seen my son didn't play, but some of his friends did, and it was just such an elite level right off the bat. And that's even like the Class A, the semifinals today. I know the Class A games don't get quite the buzz, the hubbub of the bigger schools, but it's still great hockey, and it's going to be taken on. I mean, the first game's at 11 today, so I guess you're about to just go into the tunnel and be in there for the whole weekend, I guess.
I mean, I may or may not have my Letterman jacket prepared for that first game, as unbiased as I can be. But no,
yeah.
it's I do. I live at the X. It's ironic, too, because right after the state tournament, the Wild are home every other day. So I will be at the X night in and night out. Like you mentioned, semifinals for Class A start today at 11. It's definitely one of the quieter days. Tomorrow, Thursday, when Class AA semis start, you can feel it kind of pick up. But there's some really, really good matchups today against St. Kyle Cathedral, kicking it off against the Zephyrs, the defending champions for Class A. And then you've got Northfield and Orono following up at 1. The Hibbing-Chisholm game, you'd mentioned that one, Steve. That's the one I'm particularly excited about because it's always nice to see an Iron Range school make its way back. Hibbing-Chisholm had upended Hermantown. Hermantown has been a long mainstay at the tournament. They're taking on, Hibbing-Chisholm's taking on Laverne, who's the number 6. So Hibbing-Chisholm's definitely a team to watch. They're coming in as the number 1 in Class A, but they're going to be a lot of fun to check in because Laverne certainly could upset on day one. You never know. And then it rounds out tonight with East Grand Forks versus Northern Lakes. Northern Lakes is a co-op of Pequot, Aiken, a bunch of schools that are north of Brainerd there, and that's going to be a 4 versus 5 matchup, which is going to be good. So plenty of reason to get excited for Class A today before AA kicks off tomorrow.
Jessi Peirce is with us on KQRS. What do you think? What's our inside look at the hairstyles for this season? Are we going reverse mohawks? Are we going, a pompadour? What are we looking at?
I mean, if you are uninvested in any of the teams, the hair is the reason you tune in, right?
Sure.
There is no question about it. It's the hair and it's the high moms. I think last year we saw plugs for different companies, even from the kids. The kids are getting smart. They're getting clever, but it all starts with the hair and goes down. You're still going to see the bleached blonde, which is everybody's favorite. I'm sure moms particularly love that, or girlfriends. Hopefully senior pictures are all done and taken for the lot of them. I'm feeling that some people are going to get clever. I don't think you'll see a lot of buzz. I think you'll see a lot of the flow, right? A lot of longer hair. But I want a team to really come out and surprise me. I want, like, blue hair maybe, right? Like, let's mix it up a little bit. Like, let's go completely off the wall. I mean, certainly there's your safety nets where it's got the flop. It's got the wind blowing in it once you skate up to center ice and say hi into that camera. But I want to see a team really come out and surprise me. I'm going to be keeping an eye on for somebody. Maybe the Green Wave, which is East Grand Forks' nickname. Maybe they do something extra special.
All right. I mean, it's important to know. But what about you, Jessi? I mean, do you just go? Do you do something special with your hair, or do you just keep it? Is it just another work week?
Steve, that's a good point. I should probably do that. I should probably become even a little bit more invested into it. I did one time, truth factor, a couple years ago. I was dared to get a mullet, so I did a partial mullet at a hockey rink. I had the great clips shaved off at the Beauty League, which is a summer hockey league here. I will never do it again, but I can say I did it, right? We can't take that away from me. I'm sometimes a little overcommitted to the bit, but I'll think of something clever and be sure to let you guys know what hairstyle I end up going with.
I know the Wild are obviously on the road. They have to be because their arena is taken over by the kids. Do the guys on the team, not the locals, but generally speaking, are they aware of this? Is it something that they are clued into? I mean, I just picture people coming in from all over the world in the hockey community. And I would imagine people tell them, like, no, you really ought to pay attention.
Yeah, there's been a couple times. I know Wild head coach John Hines, the team got back into town just in time for him to go and check out Saturday's championships last year. So he said it was unlike anything he's ever seen. Again, it's something you have to witness, right? Like, you can hear all the hubbub and you're like, yeah, sure, that sounds really cool. But once you're there, then it's like, oh my gosh. So I think the guys are plenty aware. Again, you've got Brock Faber in there telling them all about it. You have plenty of Minnesotans always chattering. But I don't, unfortunately their schedule doesn't lend them to see it. 1 year, I'm excited for them to do it. It might be this year. They could be back Saturday in time for a couple of the guys to float on down. So be looking out for maybe a Marcus Foligno at XL Energy Center Saturday, another cherry on top to a championship day. Yeah,
very nice. Jessi Peirce, you got picks? Are you going to tell us who you think's going to take home the big prizes this weekend?
I do. I got to go Hibbing-Chisholm. Again, I think they're so good in Class A. They're a very, very fun team to watch. Like I mentioned, they took down Hermantown, which is kind of the Goliath in it. So I'm going to go Hibbing Chisholm, which is the number 1 seed. So it's not overly crazy. I do want people to keep an eye on Northfield, though. They've got 2 really, really good players, including the sophomore Ben Giger. Northfield coming in at the number 3 seed. Keep an eye on them. They're taking on Orono to start things, but they could be a really interesting team. And then in the Double A, it's hard to go against Moorhead. It's just very, very hard to go against them. They have this kid, Mason Kraft, who will be playing for Minnesota State Mankato, one of the top scorers, a Mr. Hockey finalist. But the sleeper to watch there, I think, is Lakeville South, who Moorhead takes on in that first one. They've got the Ernst brothers, Jackson Ernst, the senior, with 23 goals, 56 points. So definitely don't count Lakeville South out, who's coming in at that 8 seed. Also, number 2, Stillwater, is going to be riding a high of emotions, having defeated Hill Murray in double overtime in order to advance to St. Paul. So that would be another team to watch. But otherwise, you're probably safe with your number 1s because Moorhead and Hibbing are just so good.
While we got you, let's talk really quickly, though, about the Wild. I mean, a great season. Certainly, I think, far better than expected before the season started. How do you feel as they're coming down the home stretch? Health, continuity, is this a team that we can start to think maybe they got a good playoff run in them?
I mean, you hope. Health is the big question. You're still without Kirill Kaprizov. You're without Joel Erikssonek, and you're now without Jonas Brodin, who is week to week with a lower body injury. Those are your top 3 players there. But they've been very lucky. Minnesota this year has been very fortunate in having that next guy up mentality. They've weathered a lot of these injury storms, whereas last year that wasn't the case, and that's a big reason to why they missed the playoffs. This year they built up a good start to the season, which has helped upend their success, so they're allowed to falter a little bit. I'm curious to see what happens with Kirill and Joel Erikssonek and when they actually return. The trade deadline is coming up this weekend. Bill Guerin already adding Gustav Nyquist last weekend, who is a top 6 forward. But if he finds out that Kaprizov and Joel Erikssonek will, in fact, not be ready for the regular season and only ready in time for playoffs, that might cause him to make another move. So all in all, it is a playoff team, so we have that to look forward to. Minnesota, don't worry. But it'll be very curious down the run because this is the most fun time of year for the NHL, as well as every team is battling hard night in and night out, trying to get every single point as they continue to push toward the playoffs.
Jessi Peirce, all right, you got a barrel full of monkeys in your house. Any of your kids lacing them up and playing hockey yet?
Oh, you got one that wants to play hockey, but he only wants to play on the outdoor ice, which I love. It's so endearing, right?
It is endearing.
He's all into it. I'm like, you know what? Yes, we will go play outside. I cannot wait for my daughter. She is 3. We're going to get her on skates very soon.
All right.
And my oldest one, he's a basketballer, which is fine with me. I'm okay spending some winter months in a warm court facility versus a freezing cold rink like I do often enough.
Does have that going for it. All right, last question. First concert you ever saw, what was it?
First concert I ever saw was Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and I was a nerd as well because the concert had been changed dates, and so it ended up being on the first day of school, and I brought my math book. I believe I was interviewed on TV because they're like, look at this loser bringing a math book to Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera. True story. It happened. That was my first concert. Yeah. I should give you a shout out. My mom and I bond over She Talks to Angels. That's our jam. So thank you for that.
Well,
yeah, we love it.
Your teachers loved you. Something tells me your coaches loved you too. A kid that's bringing her math book to a concert is paying attention. She's getting defensive position. She's feeding her teammates under the hoop. She's just a team player. That's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. I try to do it all. A little bit of everything when I can. Fun and work hard. It goes hand in hand.
Awesome. Well, have a great weekend. We certainly will be watching. Thanks for calling in, Jessi.
Thanks so much, guys.
See you. Hey, if you miss anything in the morning, find our podcast anywhere you listen, anytime you want. Sponsored by Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Yeah, Devani's. Man, top 5 at 9 coming up, hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
This is KQRS, but you already knew that. Here's some things you might not know. It's your top 5 at 9. Let's get to it. The John Bear Grease Sled Dog Marathon Aaron Ailey has won the race, a shortened race, because there's not enough snow between Duluth and Two Harbors to do it right.
Such a bummer.
It was only 267 miles.
Only.
God, what in the world? 267 miles. The winner from Ray, Minnesota, right up near International Falls. This is her second win. She won it in 2021. Her husband has also won this bad boy twice. That is a family that loves to race dog sleds.
Building a dynasty.
Man, I guess so. Yeah, get on with the next generation. Let's go. Corner the damn market. 267 miles in a car is plenty for you.
Right?
Right?
Absolutely.
Imagine doing that with a dog on a sled, pulling your sled. Did you ever hear of a documentary called Happy People?
I have not. No. Enlighten me.
It's Werner Herzog, and it's about a group of people that live in the deepest depths of Siberia. This village, it's frozen 9 months of the year, and they're trappers. They have mink and like the what's the sable. They just live out in the snow, and they trap these animals and sell them. And their life, they're kind of like, it's almost like they're in the Amazon, like those tribes that have nothing to do with the modern world.
Yes.
They just live out there. Anyway, it's a year spent in what they call the taiga with happy people, and they have snowmobiles. That's one thing they have.
Well, nice.
And one of the trappers, I'm just saying, it's an amazing documentary, but one of the guys is going to return home for Christmas, and so he gets on his snowmobile, and he just goes down the frozen river for 150 miles.
Oh.
And his dog just runs alongside the whole time. Hey, what's going on? Deep, 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 deep. And I'm like 150 miles. And this dog is just like, it feels good to get the legs out, get a little stretch going. And then
Just have the mentality of a dog.
It's just a beautiful thing. Anyway, congratulations, Aaron. Now go sit in front of the fire and deal with some chafed skin.
Thaw.
Please. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. For anyone who didn't know, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, the greatest rock star of them all, most likely. He lives in Greenwich, Connecticut.
That doesn't seem like a rock star place to live.
It is not. It is a titan of industry place to live. It's a Wall Street baron place to live. Anyone you ever meet that says, "Oh, I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut," just ask them for money because they got it falling out of the... they got gold bullion in their pockets. Keith has lived there since 1985, and the state of Connecticut is honoring him today.
Okay.
Governor Ned Lamont will award the Connecticut Award of Excellence to Keith Richards.
For being good at rock and roll?
For just being a badass. He says he's a dedicated supporter of the arts, education, and community causes right here in Connecticut. Keith, very excited. He will get a custom medallion. It will be presented to him at the Westport, Connecticut Library. And here's Keith Richards' quote about this event.
Okay.
When you are growing up, there are two institutional places that affect you most powerfully: the church, which belongs to God, and the public library, which belongs to you. The public library is a great equalizer.
Good. Good to hear.
That's a hell of a quote. I love that.
It is, yeah. I'm thinking about my very first public library over by Roosevelt High School.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody who thinks Keith Richards is just like a goof, a buffoon, a drunken clown, read his book, Life. The man's a genius, by the way.
Which I'm going to go get at my public library.
He figured it all out years ago, and he doesn't care what of his knowledge you pick up on. He's got it all. He's winning the game, as per usual, Keith Richards. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Talk about winning the game, but maybe in overtime. The two astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, have been up in space since last summer. Remember, they went up for 8 days. They had an 8-day.
Yes.
It was kind of like Gilligan's Island, that 3-hour cruise. Well, they had an 8-day cruise to space that is now.
That seems about the right amount of time. 8 days.
June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Oh, yeah, they're 9 months in now.
Oh.
Yeah, they've been up there a while. It looks like they will be returning home, however. Finally, they've got it figured out. No, it's pretty cool, though. Like, this is their third trip to the International Space Station. It's just old hat. They're both a couple of retired Navy flyers. You know what they are? They're just badasses.
That is true.
There's just no getting around it. Hey, guys, you're going to go for 8 days or 9.5 months. All right, cool.
I get grumpy when dinner's not on time.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 9, Jared Allen, anything but grumpy. Jared Allen is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. He should this year. Last night, last night talking with reporters at a big event. Had a lot of things to say about a lot of things. The man now from his ranch in Texas shows up, feeling pretty good about life and really happy to be a part of several winning franchises. Looking around the league today, Jared Allen does not hold back. He doesn't have to anymore, as he explains.
I'd rather be close than freaking who sucks, the Jets? Oh, gosh. Being the Jets would be miserable right now. I just can't believe anybody took that job. Rough one. So you get to say this stuff when you're retired. You can say whatever you want. That's awesome.
I'm just glad he's having fun.
When Jared Allen was back home in Texas last month, his former teammate Steve Hutchinson knocked on the front door, as they do. They show up and say, "Welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame." Yeah. Those videos always just kill me.
The Randy Moss one? Oh, my God.
The Sharp brothers this year, Shannon giving it to Sterling, that was awesome. But this year, it was Steve Hutchinson, knocks on his front door. He's wearing the gold jacket. And Jared Allen said, "You could have given me a heads up. I was painting a chicken coop 25 minutes ago." It's good stuff, as always. Hey, while we got your attention, I want to say good morning to Falcon Heights. Glad to have you with us, Falcon Heights. Go back to bed. It's just lots of snow out there. It's still coming down in a lot of parts of the metro, and it's going to be here for a little while.
A little bit.
It's going to be sunny and warm this weekend, man.
Yeah.
But this day, today, it's like a winter wonderland out there. I'm happy about it. I'm about half as happy as Chauncey Gorman is. That damn dog loves him some snow. He was rolling around in that crap at 4 a.m. this morning. Oh, he's loving life.
Strap him to a sled and let's get to this John Bear Grease thing next year.
You know what? And then he'll only have to stop every couple hundred yards to hack up half a lung, because he does that when just hanging around. So I can only imagine. But maybe that's the secret. Maybe sled dogging will help him keep the lungs clear. Mm-hmm. All right. It's always a work in progress. Number one on your top 5 at 9. Ain't going to be no play it again, Sam, around here. It looks like the Vikings are moving on. Sam Darnold was not given a franchise tag. The franchise tag would have kept him in town for one season at a guaranteed rate of $40-something million. Yeah. And then he'd be a year from now right back where he is now, which is a free agent. What do we do with this guy? If they had franchised him, that would have signaled that they want him for next year. They still want J.J. McCarthy to be the guy. We'll just wait to make sure he's ready. I mean, it would have made sense. The Vikings decided, you know what? As long as we're going to do that, why don't we just have Daniel Jones play that part of a veteran quarterback? Get him out there. Hopefully, O'Connell and Daniel Jones have a bit of a connection the way Darnold and O'Connell did. And then maybe by, 4 or 5 weeks in, J.J. McCarthy, who will still be waiting for his rookie season, can step in and take over and lead the franchise to glories heretofore never realized over the next 15 years. Next year, J.J. McCarthy. Hey, that's what Michigan men do. Brady did it. He comes in. McCarthy's going to do it. No, of course I'm not predicting that. I mean, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid. Okay. Yeah, no, that's how that goes. There's your top 5 at 9 for a Wednesday. Not just any Wednesday. It's March 5th.
Yes.
31 years.
Is she up yet? Is she awake and listening?
She's not listening, but she's awake, if I know my wife. We were married on this day 31 years ago.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
And man, I mean, I was not even 31 years old when that happened. So if you had said, hey, 31 years from now, you'll be, I would have said, stop. I can't even make sense of that. So happy anniversary, babe. Love you. There it is. And I'll tell her I said that, because as I said right now, she's probably...
I'll pull the tape
what she's doing?
Man.
She's listening to a Neil Young record right now, sipping coffee, looking at the snow. That's what's happening in my house. All right, we got a long day ahead of us. What you gonna do? That's next. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is KQRS. We got a lot of day left today, Ryder. What you going to do? Let's get right to it.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is shovel, because I already saw the snow emergency alert text come through from the city of Minneapolis. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to check out our friend Jessi Peirce on the Bardown Beauties, that hockey podcast. I've listened to it before. It does go real deep. Like, this is top shelf hockey talk. So I do need to have my phone ready to Google a bunch of the people, places, and things they talk about. But it's a blast to listen to. too.
It is good. I listened to some of it yesterday, and in preparation to speak with her about the high school tournament. But I spent more time listening to a bunch of the Wild stuff. I mean, it's all hockey all the time.
Yeah.
It's Bardown Beauties podcast. It's great. I am going to. Here's all I have to get done for the rest of the day. I will spend some time outside because I have a dog who loves to be out in the snow.
Good, because clock is ticking.
Chauncey and I will be out there bundled up. We will walk across probably the 3rd Ave bridge.
Okay.
I'm still obsessed with the bridges. I still love nothing more than crossing a bridge and taking in the city and looking around. And on a snowy day, it's better than ever. So we'll do that. Maybe go over on there and then come back on the Hennepin. Either way, we do it both ways. But we're big fans of the bridges and we walk anyway. But on the snowy days, 100%. I will also eat some pierogies today. That's I have to have.
Is it a Wednesday thing or
it's
what?
just a winter weather thing.
Okay.
Nothing makes me feel. I see snow and I just think, I got to get some. I got to get some Eastern European food down my gullet, and I will watch some high school hockey.
And then for your anniversary, does Rosemary just want to straight up be left alone? Does she want the solitude? Is that her top present?
Damn it, I forgot it was her anniversary. No, she'll be on the walk as well.
Okay, nice.
And then she'll be for the pierogies. Can't guarantee she'll be watching the high school hockey.
You will suck her into that.
Oh yeah. I will.
She's very competitive, I feel like.
Last year it was our 30th anniversary, so I had to have all things lined. 31, it's kind of like, hey babe, happy anniversary, love you, and then we can just get on with our day.
Nice.
That's how that works. So that's what's going on around here. Up next for you, Chris Nelson. He will be with you, and he has a shot for you to win Wild tickets. That's during the free ride at noon. Hang tight.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.